I just completed the Gamut challenge, over 26 miles of rucking and running and shooting over 16 stages with both rifle and pistol, and this is all the gear that I used. My name is Caleb Lee. If you don't know me, I am the #1 best-selling author of Concealed Carry 101 and also the founder of Patriot Training Center in Alabama, where we do live gun training courses and teach civilians how to use pistols, rifles, and shotguns to defend themselves and other innocent life. And I just completed the Gamut challenge, a super fun and interesting experience that is kind of like a competition. But like the name implies, it's also a challenge, and I'm going to break down all the gear that I used in that today. First off, like I said, the Gamut challenge is basically it's a combination 2-day event of both fitness and shooting. Specifically, it's kind of falling in the category of, there's different of these fitness and shooting competitions now, but kind of falling in the category of run and gun competition. So it had rifle and pistol stages that you shot, but it was combined with rucking, which is basically walking around or moving under load with a pack that weighs 35 pounds, and then also carrying all your gear and your kit, chest rigs, gun belt, however you wanted to set it up, and shooting all those stages and completing all the courses, and there's additional fitness challenges that were involved. For me, I wanted to do this because I've done other competitions in the past, but that was mainly like USPSA or IDPA pistol shooting competitions. I haven't done any of these like run and gun competitions where you also have the rifle along with the pistol, and I haven't done any that were had a fitness component of it combined with the shooting, so I thought it'd be a very unique thing for me to experience and a way to take the gear that probably like most of us have kind of accumulated some if the you-know-what hits the fan type gear, like full battle rattle kind of chest rigs and gun belts and stuff like that, and get a chance to actually test that gear and take it out and see how it performs and see how I perform. And I think a lot of people have a concept of like bug out bags or something like that. They have a bag that they're going to load up their gear and their guns, and they're going to get out of town if they have to. A bug out bag can weigh a lot of weight, so you should probably test to see if you can even carry a whole lot of weight over a certain amount of distance and see how you do, if that plan could even really hold up. So that was my interest in it, and I thought it was a unique way to test everything. All right, so let's get into the thing everybody likes to talk about first. We'll talk about the guns. So I just have all this thrown in here the same way when I left the range after the challenge was over, so a little bit messy right now, but we'll start with the rifle. This is actually, like I said, you had to have both a rifle and a pistol. I guess it's up to you what type of rifle you bring, but pretty much everybody's using an AR-15. That is America's rifle. This is actually a pre-production prototype rifle that we've been working on here at PTC Armory, my firearms brand. And this is not a rifle. Legally, this is a AR-15 pistol. So as you can see, there's a pistol brace attached. But what that allows you to do is this is a shorter barrel AR-15 pistol. So this is an 11.5-inch barrel. This was an excellent setup for this type of event. This is super lightweight, super easy to carry around, and extremely accurate. Even though most people think that short barrels are not very accurate, this is a sub-MOA gun. We have the proof target here. This shot a .946 MOA group when we proofed it before it got into my hands. The only thing that I kind of did here to customize it is I have a rifle sling attached. This is a Frank Proctor sling, which we're a big fan of here. Easily attaches to the pistol brace and wherever you need it on the handguard. And kind of our same setup here. And we have a Holosun red dot. I went ahead and just ran a red dot for this entire shooting competition. And this light here was not needed, but it was also installed because this is kind of like a complete package that we like to outfit people with as one of the options here at PTC Armory. So again, this was a prototype rifle. Actually, this was the first time I ever shot it that was built for me, and we just got it done just in time for the challenge. So I was extremely happy with how it performed excellent. I had a malfunction on one stage, but not due to the gun. I was shooting support side, meaning I'm right-handed. This was in my left hand, and I had my hand up against the ejection chamber, had a casing come out and pop back in there. So I caused the malfunction, not anything to do with the gun. As far as the rifle, running standard 30-round PMags magazines, and worked completely fine. For the challenge, you are required to have 6 of those, 6 rifle magazines. So when we get into kit later, I'll tell you how I carried that, but just your standard 30-round PMags here. As far as the ammo that was used, just basic PMC gold 55 grain ammo, nothing special there, full metal jacket. And that took care of everything that I needed to take care of. There were some stages definitely 100 yards and over 100 yards. I'm not quite sure if one of the stages it was out to 200, but it was definitely past 100 yards no problem with even the short barrel and the red dot being able to get those hits that we needed. And yeah, so the rifle performed amazing. Can't say enough about it. This is a great gun. This is probably one of my favorite rifles that I've ever shot. So I love this setup. All right, so that takes care of the rifle pretty much. And now let's talk about the pistol. Really not too much special here. This is just a Glock 17 Gen 5 MOS with a Holosun red dot, the 507 comp attached. This is pretty much my go-to dry fire gun. I keep this loaded up with dry fire dummy rounds for the house and competition shooting, practice shooting, take it to training courses, put a lot of rounds through this, but really not many modifications. There's a Johnny Glock's flat face trigger in here, the Glock competition style trigger with the Johnny Glock's flat face trigger in here. Other than that, pretty much stock. Obviously 9mm and running just regular Blazer brass 9mm. No malfunctions, no problems of any kind, just like you would expect. It is a Glock. So with that, you are supposed to, in addition to the 6 rifle magazines, you're supposed to carry 6 pistol magazines loaded to a specific. The rifle magazines need to be loaded to 30 rounds and the pistol magazines need to be loaded to 15 rounds for all the stages. All right, so now moving to the actual kit setup and stuff. This is a battle belt, gun belt type deal that I've reviewed here on the channel before. It's the same setup, the Blue Force gear, Warrior Poet Society kind of combo there that they put together. This is the outer gun belt here. There's an inner gun belt that's on my pants when we talk about that. But basically I had one pistol magazine here set up at an angle so that it doesn't get in the way of your chest rig. It makes it a little easier to draw a little faster at that angle. It's a more natural position for your hand when you come down for it. One rifle magazine carrier with the outside pistol magazine carrier. And then this additional pouch from Spirited Systems, which has storage here where I kept some gloves for one of the stages, the obstacle course actually. The gloves came in very handy for climbing some ropes and stuff like that. And then there's also an additional rifle magazine pouch and pistol magazine pouch set up on the belt here. And then that takes care of all the magazine pouches that were on the belt. So pretty streamlined, not a whole lot of extra stuff on here. And then a Safariland retention holster. Retention holster is an absolute must for this type of competition. What that means is the gun goes in here, and until you engage the retention device, the gun will not come out. So some stages you are upside down doing some stuff. Don't want to give away all the fun details, but retention holster absolutely necessary. Plus when you're running, when you're rucking, you have all this gear on, so you're moving really fast. You don't want your handgun to pop out, obviously. You have the sling, which is obviously important to keep the rifle to you. And another thing that I love about the Frank Proctor sling, and this is a must I think if you get a sling, is you need some type of quick adjustment type system so you can secure that to your body during movements however you need it. And then you can loosen it up when you're doing the shooting drills however you need it. Whether you're going prone, whether you're standing, switching shoulders, the support side, whatever it is. But that's important, the retention. And the retention also has this T-Rex Arms thigh rig that secures it to your thigh so it's not flapping around, smacking you in the thigh as you're moving around. And that's pretty much it. Basically, basically the same belt that I reviewed on the channel before. Wanted to get a chance to run this in an actual run and gun event and see how it held up. It does fine at the range and stuff like that, but just the unique challenges, the physical stuff that was going on with this, wanted to get a chance to run this. I do have some thoughts about that and the whole idea of a gun belt, or rather carrying stuff on your waist in this type of competition that we'll kind of talk about more. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the gun belt. Worked fine for what I needed to do. And yeah, I have no complaints as far as what it is. All right, so that covers the gun belt. Now let's talk about the chest rig. So you need, like I said, 6 rifle magazines. You could put all those on your waist, but most people, myself included, were running some type of chest rig. So this holds 4 magazines. This is a Haley Strategic rig. Holds 4 magazines up here in the front with the rifle magazines. So including the magazine that's in the rifle, you know, plenty of space to carry all the rifle magazines that you need. And this worked pretty well. The X straps, there's 2 different types of harnesses that chest rigs typically come with. You have this X kind of style where they cross each other, and there's an H kind of style. I haven't had enough experience with them both to kind of say which one I like better, but this worked pretty well. The only thing you have to worry about is as you're putting it on, that you don't get your straps twisted like that, because if you're running and rucking and you're going a bunch of miles, that could cause some hot spots and start to hurt you later. At one portion when we're running just with the chest rig, they allowed you to take the ruck off and it was a pure run, but you still had to carry all your gear and your guns and your magazines and stuff, so you're still wearing the chest rig, you're still wearing the belt rig. This did start to work its way up and rub into my neck a little bit here, so that was a little bit of an issue, but nothing too bad. It was just slightly annoying. You have extra pouches here that you could have carried stuff. This one was empty. I did end up actually putting my phone in this one, because for this particular challenge, you were supposed to take pictures of certain items and report back. So I needed the phone to be easily accessed. And then it also has 2 additional pistol magazines here in the chest rig. Now, the whole idea of the chest rig plus the gun belt, there were some competitors that had streamlined all their kind of operations, and probably a good idea for something like this. Basically, they had a chest rig that was either something this size or maybe a little slimmer or slicker, and all the rifle magazines on the chest rig and all the pistol magazines, and instead of having like an extra pouch, a retention holster like in the chest rig. So what that meant is that the competitor can carry all their gear in a chest rig, and that freed up the entire waistline so that they could run their ruck. They could have a nice big like padded hip belt, similar to like a hiking pack or the Alice rigs that are used in the military. A number of people were using that kind of setup with an external frame backpack. And it might be a good idea. I don't have enough experience with those, but I'm very curious to see how that would affect my performance in wrecking long distances and running with that much weight. If you got everything off the waistline, because this is about as comfortable as a gun belt can be, but it is very stiff. And then once you get all the other stuff in there, everything moves around. I do have bruises on my hips, so I kind of wonder if it would be a little easier to have a setup like that where everything's consolidated to the chest rig and help performance that way. And then in addition to that, once you have the chest rig on, at least with me, I'm 5'5" on a tall day. My torso is not very big, so once you have the gun belt on and you have the chest rig on and you have the ruck on, these rifle magazine pouches in particular with a 30 round mag, this is actually kind of sticking up and it can run into your gear and you're kind of hitting it as you're going. So this stuff can kind of get in the way depending on your body type and size like that. So that may be an adjustment to the gear if I do this type of challenge again that I would make. But otherwise, this worked really well. The only thing I changed on these, I have the Kydex inserts for the chest rig here. They normally come with these drawstring inserts, but you can get the Kydex kind, so they have retention and they won't come out if you don't want them to. But you don't have to deal with these drawstrings here, which weren't a problem with the pistol mag stuff. There's not really, if you add an extra second to your reload time, it's not going to cause you to fail this type of competition, as opposed to having a total time that's like an hour shorter over 2 days. You're just not going to, an extra second to draw either a magazine out with the proper retention device, or if you have a pistol instead of belt mounted where I can get like a 1.5 second draw from the retention holster, versus if it was on the chest rig and maybe it's like a 2.5 or 3 second draw. That's just not going to matter over 2 days with your total time. It'd be much smarter to consolidate and kind of optimize towards having strong performance in the rucking and the running times over that 2 days is gonna add the most benefit. So I think that pretty much covers the chest rig. All right, so that covers all the kit and the guns. So what I'll do is I'll get the ruck out. A couple other odds and ends. Maglula pistol loaders. These will save your thumbs over, hundreds of rounds that you're loading. And I did bring just the tiniest little like keep your gun running kit. There's like a Glock tool in here in case you ever have to do a Glock thing. Not very likely. And a small bottle of oil for everything. Put a few drops in there. You're good to go. Guns will run extremely dirty if they're reliable, like the Glocks and the AR-15s that we build, but they will not run dry. So you always want to keep things well lubed. This is a medical kit that I normally keep in this pouch, but I took it out so that I could fit the gloves in there. So go ahead and move that out of the way and bring in the ruck. So now we have the ruck. This is a GoRuck Rucker. They have a bunch of different backpacks, and the whole company is kind of built around rucking and stuff like that. Super durable, though, like you can't break them, so that's not an issue. But the Rucker, I think, has a little bit reinforced like frame in the back to be able to carry some weight. Eyes and ear protection, of course, were a necessity. I just have this stuck in here, an extra magazine. The way that this is set up, there is I kept a source bladder in here just for the water and hydration, of course. They have a nice clip system here where you clip it to the tops and it stays in the top of your ruck. And then you have the hydration line that goes through the top and comes out on your left side over your strap here. This would come loose every once in a while, but I don't think there's just so much going on and so much kit and gear that you're wearing, like stuff's gonna kind of flop all over the place, but you can kind of get these little retention here. I could probably do a better job of this if I rigged up something myself, but this worked fine. And then that way your hydration's always there right next to your face, and hopefully you remember to drink from it. This bag actually, like the straps are really good as far as like as comfortable as it can be to carry. The weight for this was 35 pounds dry. So what that means is that at all times your ruck has to weigh 35 pounds before you put anything else in it. So that includes your water. So you would make sure that you're 35 pounds before you put the water in there. Make sure that you're 35 pounds before you put in any of your magazines or any of your ammo or anything like that. So it had to weigh 35 pounds at all times. The additional kind of optional thing, GoRuck has this hip belt system that they sell. I did have that there. I have some thoughts on that in a minute, but I want to talk about the weight stuff. GoRuck has a very good system for how they for their weight plates. They sell their own weight plates, but I ended up using some old steel body armor plates just because they're so thin and they're so heavy, and they fit in there pretty well. And I just had a number of these plates that I shoved down in there. And then I was traveling into this event, so I couldn't actually carry all the weight that I wanted due to baggage sizes, limits, the weight limits and everything. So I ended up taking some extra ammo because they're very small but very dense, and sticking those in there to make sure that I hit that 35-pound weight limit. And of course I didn't shoot this ammo because it needed to stay in the bag. That's what I did for the weights. Even with all this, there's not too much more room in here for a bunch of extra stuff, so I threw in just a couple snacks. And at certain parts of the course, you only needed so many magazines on your kit for the shooting, and you could take the rest and throw them in here. When you had the empty mags, I would just throw them in here as the days progressed. So what I like about this is, like I said, the shoulder straps, super comfortable as far as that can be, nice and padded. The back is very rigid. I never felt like the back couldn't take that weight. I trained up for this event using over 50 pounds, probably like 65 pounds, I think was one of the heavier rucks that I did. And the back panel doesn't bend or anything like that. So it's kind of like an internal frame in the backpack. But the hip belt, I think leaves something to be desired is if you're thinking of it like a hip belt. In some ways, the way it sits, at least with me and my body type, the hip belt doesn't sit on your hips. So it actually sits around like, I would say my belly button. So you can kind of breathe into it almost like a weightlifting belt, and it definitely stabilizes the load so you can move pretty quickly. And the way that the GoRuck packs are designed with all the weight as close up to your body as possible, that's where you want to keep the weight. Like you don't want just some dumbbells down at the bottom of the backpack that are like sagging behind you. It kind of throws the weight off. And as high up on your back as possible. It does a good job of keeping the weight where you want it because it's specifically designed for that. But as far as like having a frame and a hip belt system that distributes the weight onto your hips, it definitely fails in that, I think. So like I said, I'm pretty curious about getting an external frame, either like a Malice pack or an Alice pack, or even a civilian hiking pack that has the external frames and like a hip belt that's designed to actually shift the load to your waist. And then kind of combining that concept with the, getting the gear off the waist and getting it all into like a consolidated chest rig setup. Just how much that would improve performance, or maybe whether it works for my body type or whether it doesn't. Again, that's one of the big reasons I wanted to do this challenge, is to kind of figure out, like, with the gear I have, like, how well does it work? Is it going to slow me down? Can I actually move over long distances and then still be fresh enough and have the skills enough to be able to shoot and do what I need to do when I get there? And can I carry all that stuff? So yeah, this is a good way to test your kit, and I think I got to test all this pretty well. All right, so that's for the gear, and then the kind of less exciting stuff, just clothes. Pretty simple here. These are, I still don't know how to say this, kui hunting pants. These work fine. They're like an athletic kind of technical hiking pant, I guess you would say, but they're pretty. This is the event's in Florida. We had great weather. It didn't even get into the 80s. It was like high 70s, but very sunny, so you're going to sweat a lot. But so it's not too thin. There's not like a whole lot of insulation in here. And it actually has these like breathable things you can unzip. I kept them unzipped the entire time. I didn't put any holes in them, so, doing a bunch of stuff, running through the woods, crawling on the ground, obstacle courses. Held up really well, very durable. These are very nice pants. I just wore them for both days. And then this is the inner belt of the 2-belt system that I showed you, the gun belt. So you have a stiff, kind of traditional like concealed carry belt, but it's covered in Velcro. And then that way you just take your external gun belt, which is even stiffer, and you Velcro it right onto the outside of that. So super simple to get on and off when you need to do that. Nothing much more to say about the pants. And then not too much to say about the t-shirt. This is just one of our PTC t-shirts. And it's a t-shirt. I think I did get sunburned. I am now not just philosophically, but also a literal redneck. I have tons of sunburn on my neck. And so I think probably like a sun shirt with long sleeves with a breathable kind of athletic material, you know, wicks sweat and all that stuff. With the sun hoodies that they have, like very common with fishermen and, you know, hunting and stuff like that, would probably be a better choice that we can keep the sun off your neck. You do need a hat, like any shooting class or anytime you're out there, that's a good idea. Also keeps the sun out of your face and prevents sunburn. I just used one of the sponsor hats here, and that worked out fine. And then importantly, we have boots or shoes. An event like this, obviously you're spending a lot of time on your feet, super important. First, socks. These are Go-Ruck actually, but they're 100% wool socks. So wool is, you know, will work in pretty much any type of weather. The good thing about it is it gets wet, but then it dries really quickly. So did have some stages where I ran through some water, completely fine, got dry, allows your feet to breathe. Wool is good stuff. Anybody that hikes and stuff will tell you that. And these are Go-Ruck shoes. I still don't know how I feel about these shoes. On the good hand, I'm very like minimalist in my footwear. Wear flip-flops a lot. If I don't wear flip-flops, then I wear some minimal shoes, like I'll show you in a second. But these have a really good like foot bed as far as like carrying weight and stuff like that. It's about as protective as it can be, plenty of grip, so no problems with that. But a little bit lighter than like probably a full boot. I don't think I break, even out of all the miles that I put into this training up for this event and doing the event and all that stuff, the like kind of upper is still stiff. So I don't know if I've fully broken them in yet, and if this will go away, because I do definitely have some hot spots on the side of my feet where it kind of rubbed in and starting to develop type blisters. On day 2, I got some sticky padded style tape that you can get from, you know, Walmart or CVS or a pharmacy or something like that. And I just kind of wrap those around the hot spots that we're developing on day 2. But socks, super important, and figuring out your footwear is going to be super important. Taking it out, doing the runs, doing the rucks, and figuring out where you're developing hot spots. Now, these are Ultras. Ultra, you know, zero drop. They got a big wide toe box. If I wear any type of like athletic shoe to go on runs or something like that, I like that kind of thing. I kind of believe in the whole minimalist and zero drop thing, and the wide toe box, and your feet are supposed to work like feet. So there's a little bit extra padding here because these are like trail shoes. Kind of run a lot of the grip off of these, but on day 1, when we had this stage where you switch from rucking to running, again, you dropped your ruck, but you still had to carry your chest ray, your magazines, all your magazines, your pistol, and your rifle. So it's not just like a slick run. But they told people that you could switch into running shoes if you wanted. And I didn't actually bring my shoes that day because I didn't think that was an option. So day 1, I didn't do it. But day 2, I decided to take them up on the offer. And I did that and got a nice little 6-mile run in. And it was nice. No matter what, your feet are going to hurt. But I've kind of found that if you're doing stuff for a long time on your feet and your feet are hurting, even just like switching shoes can make your feet feel a little bit more fresh. Just because, like, I don't know, the repetitive motion of pounding the ground and the ground that you're going over, if you can get like the way that your foot's hitting the ground just a little bit differently, it can make your feet feel a little bit better just for a little bit of time. So I did do that. I switched that out for the run and then went back to the boots when we had the next stage and went back to doing all the running and gunning and rucking. So I think that completes all the gear that I used. So I guess kind of the last thing to talk about is hydration, fueling, food, stuff like that. This was the first time I did this event, so I didn't really know what to expect, and I forgot to even ask if it's like, you know, are we breaking for lunch or anything like that. But it's pretty much not like that. It's like a race. You start, and when you finish, you finish. So it's up to you to figure out how to keep yourself hydrated, keep yourself fueled through the whole thing. I definitely think something like the source bladder that I have here, like a Camelback type system, where you have the water on you and you don't have to stop, is a good idea. In addition to that, I pretty much always carry around an Nalgene, and I keep that full, and I was sipping on that before and after, and in between breaks or whatever it was, in between stages. I don't do a whole lot of, I didn't do a whole lot of fueling. I tried to eat a little more the second day, but I think the first day I had breakfast and then made sure that I was hydrated. You don't want just pure water. It's good to get salts and electrolytes, and there's plenty of salt packets on the market. That's why this one looks green. I have that in there right now. So you definitely want to get salts and all the electrolytes that you need in with your pure water. And after a while, like any of the types of flavors and the fluids start to get tired, so you want some pure water and mix that in as well, at least with me. And then so I had some like beef jerky throughout the thing, but really the time, I guess it depends on how long you're out there. For me, I was only out there 4 or 5 hours, I think, for me to complete. I don't have the exact down to the minute results yet, but 3 to 5 hours somewhere was it for me to complete each day. For me, I was out there 3 to 5 hours. I've been doing intermittent fasting and low carb style eating, and now pretty much 99% carnivore. So I don't really need a lot of food. I can keep going for a long time, but everybody will be different, and maybe you need some sugar, or maybe you need some carbs, or whatever it is. So take care of yourself in that way. Figure out some type of fueling strategy that works, which if you do a little training before the event, you can kind of figure that out. If you do a movement pretty much over 90 minutes is when most of the sports science says that you need to start worrying about fueling during the event. Otherwise, whatever you ate before will be fine, and then you can always catch up later when you eat after it. But if it lasts longer than 90 minutes, you should definitely figure out like a fueling strategy that's going to work for you. So that wraps up all the gear and everything else that I use. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment down below if I didn't explain something properly enough or it doesn't make sense. But I was super happy with doing the Gamut Challenge. I thought it was a great experience. And I'm a really big fan of competition, to get out and test your skills and kind of get an idea of where you're at and what you need to work on and how your gear works for you and stuff like that. I will say that something like this event, you should definitely have some type of formal training before you do it. There's basically no instruction, there's no instruction at all on how to shoot at this type of event. It's just everybody shows up and you're expected to know what you're doing with the gun. You definitely need to know how to load, reload, shoot well, and everything. And even the safety brief at the beginning, it was complete, but it wasn't like super in-depth about like taking you by the hand and telling you, here's how to be safe with a firearm. So you really have to have all those skills subconsciously ingrained in you before you should do something like this, so that you can be safe. So one of the best ways to do that is to get live training. That's the fastest way to get yourself up to speed. That's why we offer a 2-day Patriot rifle class here at PTC, at Patriot Trading Center. If you come out and you learn with us over 2 days, we'll teach you how to shoot a rifle. We have a 2-day pistol courses. All you have to do is go to www.patriottradingcenter.com and find out when those next course dates are. So yeah, that's all the gear that I use for the Gamut Challenge. I'm super into this type of thing. I encourage anybody to get out there and challenge themselves. If it's just getting training, get out there and get the challenge of getting trained. And then if you're already trained and you're practicing and developing your skills already, get out and do a challenge like this. I think you'll really enjoy it.